time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Sunrise Archery,
Total Peep,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight on a warm August evening, chilling out, hanging out, talking with some good friends, and I think we're going to have a pretty good show tonight.
We're going to have an action-packed show tonight, but first we got to talk about some action-packed ways to support our supporters.
Okay.
And there's nothing better than getting over there to Rebel 6 Rubs. I had salmon tonight, and guess I had Rebel 6 Rubs on it, and it was awesome.
Good for you.
And if you go over to rebel6rubs.com, use the promo code North Journal, you'll get 20% off your order over there.
Mm-hmm.
Another proud supporter of the Up North Journal, which we're going to have them on next week, buckbaits.com. Go over there for 20% off your order when you check out. Use the promo code UpNorthJournal. And in the second half of our show, we're going to have Mr. Mike on from Hunter's Blend Coffee. So why not go out to huntersblendcoffee.com, use the promo code capital UNJ, you'll get 10% off your order there.
Right there, pointing to it. Use that, save 10%. So there you go. All right, so without further ado then, yes, we were supposed to have Mr. Schwartzentruber on. He is running just a tad bit late, so he is going to join us in the second half hour if we can make connection with him. But that being said, I do have the wrong window built because we were expecting him, but I do have none other than Mr. Tim Sias all the way from West Virginia, even though it says Centerburg, Ohio. Sorry, Tim, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, just getting ready to watch Up North Journal like I always do on Sundays.
Yeah, and now you're on it, so there you go. You never know what's going to happen, right?
You never know what's going to... Just like when we're sitting there on a Friday night watching your show, and you ask, hey, anybody want to come on? And either Mike or I will jump on with you.
So,
yeah, I appreciate that too. It gives me something, someone to talk to, and gives me a little subject anyway.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, as a supporter of Up North Journal, we always like talking with our supporters and also talking with you. And our banter back and forth between Friday and Sunday is sometimes pretty comical as it is.
Especially like it was right before the show.
Exactly.
Do you want to go there?
I got no problems with it.
Okay.
Right? Dan Anderson says, hey guys, we're getting closer.
We are, every day.
We are getting closer. And speaking of getting closer, we wanted to have you on, Tim, to talk about one of the things, obviously for most of everybody's like deer hunting, like Dan Anderson's kind of alluding to, but also it's fall turkey season as well. And, you know, it's kind of like for some, it's like a lost season. They just do the spring turkey hunt, and then it becomes like, okay, I'm done for the year.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the fall opportunity here in Michigan, I know we can take any type of bird. Mm-hmm. So that becomes in anything. For you down in there in West Virginia, is it the same way?
Yeah, it's either 6 statewide, but now there is different seasons for different parts of the state.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is certain counties here in the state will just have a 1-week fall season, which is still either 6. And then you have a few other counties that will have like a 2-week season.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe it's the end of October, the last Saturday of October, to the Saturday before deer season or rifle season, it'll be a 4-week season, but that's mostly the eastern part of the state that borders Virginia.
Okay. So they got management zones where there's different time periods and things where you can take birds or not take birds.
Right, and how that is determined is the spring harvest.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So they look at what they got in the spring of the same year and then make a determination for fall.
Right. And now I can remember when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I guess you could say, we had a turkey season on the eastern part of the state. And my dad, all my family, and his buddies and all, they would go to Greenbrier County. and we've talked about this before. They go in the spring, they'll go in the fall to turkey hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the years went by and the population got a little more, the turkeys started getting a little thicker. Then more counties was opening up, and now it started probably 4 years ago, maybe 5. Since then, everybody's getting a week in the fall, at least a week. So now we have here, I tell you what, where I live at in the southern part, we've gone and had 1 week, and then we've missed like 2 years, and then they popped up another week again. So they've done like a little trial basis on them. So, but to be honest with you, in this area, Mike, then we've talked about this. In this area where I live at, is mostly the 4 counties that I live around are the bow only counties.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no firearm season whatsoever. So the deer's a lot bigger, and the hunters around here basically chase the deers in the fall. So there's very few that are turkey hunters. It's going to be out there turkey hunting. Now you may be in the stand with their bow and they may shoot one. I've talked to a lot of guys that's done that, but to actually get out to turkey hunt, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to chase that bone.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And that's the way a lot of the guys are up here. I only know of one person specifically that goes out specifically for fall turkey season. And most people they get that tag, and it's an opportunity. If one comes by, they take it, type thing.
But our license has a fall comes with a fall turkey tag.
Okay.
So we're allowed 3 turkeys. You kill 2 in the spring, which is bearded only, and then you're allowed 1 in the fall.
Okay.
So you don't have to buy no extra tags or buy a tag or anything like that. The packages that we get with our hunt license, they come with it.
Okay.
So if you're out, like I said, you're out in the stand and you're deer hunting,
mm-hmm.
and that turkey comes by, like I said, a lot of guys have shot and killed them with bows, and to me that's a trophy in itself, killing them with a bow.
Right on, absolutely. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And speaking of trophy, Adam Wynn here, who's local in our area here, he says he's got a white bearded hen that he's going to be trying to tag this fall. Now that would be an exceptional trophy.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Smoky grays, yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we get into that fall season, if somebody's going out specifically looking for turkey and not just being opportunistic while they're deer hunting, what would you say would be the main go-to tactic? What are they looking to do to get out there for somebody who's just trying this for the first time?
Well, if I do seminars or talk and stuff like that, I always say this: there's 3 things you need for turkeys: food, water, and cover.
Okay.
Now, you take one of those out, you're not going to have nothing. You're not going to have turkeys. But being said, you get out and you look for sign, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You look for your scratching. You look for roosting places. You look for dusting, things of that nature. And then you listen, too. This time of the year, you're going to have the little Jakes and Jennies that were hatched out in the spring that's going to be keying, and they're going to be whistling, and they're going to be looking for the mama. Mm-hmm. So the mamas is going to be around them babies, and she's not going to let them go out too far. So things like that. Look, listen, check out, just scout like you normally do before season comes in, and just, prepare yourself. Now, I don't know how it is in Michigan, but like here in West Virginia, we can feed up until 2 weeks for a season.
Okay.
So a lot of guys, now that's on public land. Private mm-hmm. land, it's all the time. But, a lot of guys got the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the number one asset that you can have is a game camera out. And I'm sure, you guys know as well as I do, you're not going to be able the animals are not going to read for deer only.
Mm-hmm.
So the turkeys are going to come and eat.
Right.
I do have a question. I got the food aspect, I got the scratching, I got the listening to. The water aspect. When you talk about the water, are we looking for like a pond? Are we looking for ruts and roads, or a little low area in the woods where there's water standing? What are they after when they're looking for water? That
Well, I tell you, when I get out in the spring and I'm looking around, my number one thing that I look at is little ruts in the road that's got water in it, because a turkey does not care to walk through water.
Okay.
If I see tracks in that water, they're going to drink that water regardless. So it doesn't matter, really, Danny. What you can say, probably all of the above.
Okay. Okay.
Creeks, the drain just coming out of our mountains, the little ponds you're talking about, little sinkholes. There's a lot. Believe it or not, there's some guys will dig sinkholes for when it rains, the water will drain into, so the animals will have something to drink.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a real big thing in the last couple of years, going out onto your property and making watering holes to actually hunt over is one of the latest things in the last few years that I've noticed. A lot of people are turning to, whether it be the little blue pool or getting an excavator, making a bigger area. But making a water hole is one of the latest things that to improve on your property.
Especially if you don't have water in around or close by.
Yeah, if you don't have a creek or something like that goes right through your property that usually has water in it, But on tops of the mountains around here on the ridges, where these guys set their stands and everything up, I have come across a few places that this is not where they took machinery; they actually dug it out with pick and shovel.
Wow!
And made like say about an 8-foot diameter that might be about maybe 2 foot deep.
Gotcha.
And you can tell that they hand dug it by the way that it's built up around the edges. Obviously but the way the water will run through when it's raining, and it'll fill it up, and then the drainage out of the hollows that for the creeks, they're around it, and then obviously the rivers. I've seen turkeys right on the edges of the rivers, just like deer. They go. Just yesterday, we was at down to the lake, so they're me and my wife, we went fishing, and as we was going out, the deer was coming off the edges of the lake where it was hot, where they was getting a drink of water. So, and turkeys are the same way. So anything, when it gets hot, they want to drink wherever it is. I'm sure they're going to go to.
Absolutely. I tell you what, we're bumping up here close to our first break. Why don't we take a quick break? We come back. You also make turkey calls, obviously, and you supply us here at the Up North Journal with what we use in the field. We'll talk about what you've been up to lately, if you don't mind, and where people can get those.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're going to step outside, take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back, third segment of the show. We're sitting here talking with Tim all the way down in lovely West Virginia, Danny.
It's okay.
Which he calls finally the...
Best Virginia.
There you go.
Best West? I'll get it right.
That's right. In Virginia for lovers, not West Virginia.
I was trying to hook him up with Kenny Chesney.
Okay, well...
Anyway.
Danny got a little confused before the show started.
I'm always confused, as you can see by the video that I showed you prior to the show.
Yeah, and we might show that this week. We talked about it last week. If not, we'll show it next week for sure.
But anyways, so Tim, you've been doing a couple live things and showing off, but you've been working on some calls for the year. You've been working on some per plates. What you got going on down there?
Well, I got my per plate production going back, so I have my line of M. Walker per plates, and this is my own little design, and that wood right there is actually maple. Here is wild cherry, and then I got a kicker here that's really neat, and you're gonna like this, Danny. 50-year-old red cedar from Virginia. So, but I have black walnut to go with it too, if somebody's interested in those. But that's one of the things that I like to use, the pearl plates. And then also, here is my regular slate, black slate that I have. This is my West Virginia Wild Cherry. Here is a red slate in maple.
And Danny, we call that the Roll Tide slate.
The Roll Tide slate, that's right. We'll name that for Mike.
Really?
And
Yes.
But I have a line. I have different lines. I have glass, crystal, aluminum, 3 different colors of slate: purple, black, and red, and ceramic. So I'm making those. I got stocked up on wood from the person I used to work for when I was working for that timber broker, and so I got plenty of wood. I got just cut curly maple. And it is absolutely beautiful. I got it drying. I'm going to have to put it inside the garage probably by the time winter comes, but it's outside. My brother-in-law helped me get it cut on his little mill he got. So the curly maple turned out real good, and I'm excited for it. But I'm throwing calls out everywhere. I actually just sent 3 out to Kansas on Thursday. Last week, I sent 5 to Oklahoma, 1 to Houston, Texas. So, Limb Walkers is getting out there pretty good. You can find me here on Facebook. I don't have a website. I do most of my work here on Facebook or on Instagram, something like that. So, not hard to find. Just look me up either through Tim Sias or through Limb Walker Game Calls.
Absolutely. And Andy Everhart wants to know, you said 3 turkeys per year. Does it matter what season the tags are filled?
Yes. You are allowed 2 in the spring and 1 in the fall.
Okay.
And the 2 in the spring are gobblers only, correct?
No, bearded hens.
Bearded hens. Yeah, a bearded bird.
A bearded bird.
Yeah.
Could be a hen.
Yeah, they had to change the language in it because of the hens has got beards.
Yep,
Right.
exactly. And that's something here, same thing in Michigan. Okay, so here we are. We're heading into fall turkey. Is there any particular call you're going to lean on more so than any other?
Well, and I guess I should get back to you to answer your question, but I'll get out when and just kind of sit and call. That's what I like to do. I like to get out early in the morning for daylight, obviously. Listen for fly downs if any of them's around. And if none of them's around, then I'll do a little bit of run and gun, I guess you could say, and call. And it is like a lost call, and it's good with a glass. And it's just a continuous yelp, a loud, continuous yelp that I like to do. And just walk, and I'll sit for a little while, sit for a little while until hopefully I'll get something coming up. And I, in the fall, I'm that's really kind of successful the way that I was doing a run and gun, because you never know where they're going to be at in the fall.
Are you going to be using slate? Are you going to be using glass, aluminum? What are you going to use?
All the above.
He's going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him.
Pretty much, yeah. And then now I'll take a long box that is made by a guy here in Reedy, West Virginia, named Jeff White. Makes awesome box calls, and I got a long box of it that I'll use for keys on it. And then I'll pretty much, Danny, like I said, I'll take a slate and a crystal and aluminum. The aluminum that I make, they're pretty loud, and I like them for a windy day. I call them my long distance calls because, like I said, in the wind, you can, it's pretty loud and it gets out there calling. And then the slate or my pearl plate, if I have to, do a little bit of soft calling, things of that nature. But I'll have it all on my vest. I take an arsenal. So
there you go. And you're going to pull out that slate and you're going to give us a little music, aren't you?
Here's my red slate.
Oh, you had to pick the red slate, of course.
Roll Tide.
There we go.
do them for a few series.
That sounds like victory to me.
I'll sit, and I will listen, and like it's one of them things. If I can get there, and mostly it's on the ridge tops, I'll sit and just call, and hopefully something will come through. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter to me in the fall if it's a hen, if it's a jake, a jenny, a gobbler. I'll take it in the fall because personally, in my opinion, we need to thin some hens out, and I'd love to see some more guys down here in West Virginia do a little bit more turkey hunting in the fall.
There you go.
Well, last year when I was up in the UP hunting, and I had 24 jakes and jennies and hens come in. Yeah, I agree with you there. Man, whew, that sounds like a freight train coming through the woods with that group.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, if you got guys that are specialty hunters, I guess you could say. When you've got a deer hunter, there's a lot of guys that won't take does.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally understandable because they produce. And it's the same way with hens. Hens lay the eggs. I understand that. But after a while, when your ratio is, a little more hens than gobblers, it's really taking you out of the scenario when it comes, in the springtime hunt, especially when you're after the big gobbler. Well, why leave the real thing for something you don't really know?
Right.
Well, that's a true statement because if you have more hens out there, the gobblers don't necessarily have to travel the distance they're going to need to do.
Yeah.
When you want them to do it in the spring.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to come to a call just as easy.
Right.
It's going to make it a lot harder.
Kind of like bucks in the fall.
Right.
You want them to get up and get moving for the rut, but they don't have to go too far if their next doe is right around the tree.
Right.
So you look at it and go, yeah, you're right. They reproduce. But then again, if you want to equal out the herd to the point of
flock,
herd or flock, it's one of those things. So I agree.
Yeah, I'm a hunter. We've talked about this before. I'm a hunter, and if I'm out there to kill for meat and stuff, and the hen comes around, I want to shoot it. So it doesn't matter to me.
Right on.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And it's never too late to get a hold of Tim and get a call.
Well, it'd be a great gift for the upcoming Christmas season for that turkey hunter in your family.
Absolutely.
So.
And also too, personalized calls. I've had, and it just started out with somebody called me and asked me, "Can I do it?" I can do your favorite ball team. Mm-hmm. I can do pictures of someone, like if you've got a picture of you and a buddy that you want to keep, for a keepsake or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can get those printed out. I can, put them inside of a glass call. It would be similar to which I know it's not that great, but it'd be similar to this. That's one of my old logos. But the picture would be what you want. The decal in there. I've made a lot of college teams. I just actually made one for a coach from the old high school that I went to.
The Hillbillies.
The Hillbillies, yeah, we're the Hillbillies, go blue. But I've made them for college. I've got some that I've sent out, made for a guy that him and his father-in-law and his son was on a turkey hunt, and he wanted one made for his father-in-law, so I got that done. So if you got something you want personalized for something you want to keep for a while, I can do that for you. So
that's awesome.
There you go. I know he did one for the O-Town boys.
Yep, he did one for the O-Town boys.
That was a memorial type call.
That was awesome and well done. Sounds like we need an Up North Journal for spring next year.
Yeah, there you go.
The Up North Journal Special Edition.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'd be the Red Slate Edition.
I did some for a guy like you said, special, like a limited edition.
Right.
Limited time only. I did some for him and had them. Actually, I can get engraving services if you want somebody's name engraved on it. I can get that done and like the date and maybe a little phrase or somebody like that. I can get all that done, or I can just stamp my limb walker on the back and have the picture on the inside of it and go from there. So
all right,
sweet.
That's cool. Gotta like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other tips or advice you'd give us for the fall turkey hunt that we haven't talked about yet?
Get out and hunt.
Get out and hunt. There you go.
You can't get them from your front.
Well, some people might be able to, but not us.
Just like I said before, you find a food source. The turkey's going to be around,
right?
And for the signs and everything. And it's like I was talking to my nephew this morning. He was out fishing, and he said, all I'm doing is wetting a line. I said, well, that's why they call it catching, and I mean, it's why they call it fishing and not catching. And it's the same way with hunting. That's why they call it hunting and not killing.
Right.
Get out, enjoy the woods, and you're not going to make the wrong call. First of all, you're not a turkey, so if you've never turkey hunted or if you're a seasoned veteran, you're going to scratch and do something or squeak a call. Everybody does it, and there's nothing wrong with it. You get out and learn, and I tell everybody, practice. Go out on the porch, pick up your call. If it's a mouse call, a box call, a scratch, a pot call like I make or what have you, get out and do it and practice and learn and just, I'll tell you something, videos, YouTube or here on Facebook. I've seen a lot of guys that put them out there. You just got, get a grasp for it and learn the calls, different calls. Now, in the fall, compared to the spring, is totally different.
Right.
In the spring, you're defining nature by calling that gobbler to you. Well, in the fall, you've got to go out and actually, locate them, find them. Now, some guys, I should say this too, will bust the flock up and call them back.
Right.
And then some is starting to pick up real big here in West Virginia is using dogs.
Really?
And I know, up north in Pennsylvania, New York, and them areas, it's been there for a while. But you'll use like an Irish setter or some sort of a spaniel, Brittany or something like that. They've trained them to where they'll go bust them up, and those dogs will come back. And they're trained to sit right beside them, and the hunter will cover them up with a burlap sack or something camouflaged, and call them turkeys back into them.
Wow.
It's sort of like grouse hunting.
Mm-hmm.
You get out there, and it's a little further, and you're going to bust. Dogs will bust them up.
Mm-hmm.
It's to me, it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I've never actually done it before, but it looks like a lot of fun if you like hunting with dogs.
You know what? And Tim, as far as somebody shooting a crossbow, being asked is, where would you shoot a turkey with an arrow, specifically shooting a crossbow?
Well, if you're that good, shoot it in the head, but in the body. Shoot it in the chest area, something of that nature. And I'm probably that would probably get a good with the expandables or whatever you're going to use and stuff like that. That'll probably hit one of the organs, and it'll take it down. It might flop off a little bit for a little while, but you get it in the body, you'll get the turkey.
Yeah, especially with depending on speaking specifically of a crossbow, and if they're close enough, it's gonna blow right through it, and pretty much it's gonna run off.
Yep.
So so don't worry. As long as you hit it in the body, you should be doing pretty good, whether you're using an expandable or a solid broadhead.
Jump up and stop the flop.
Yep, there you go.
There you go. Hey, and I tell you what, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the gobbler guillotines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That right there is some wicked broadheads for bow hunting.
It is.
So that's why I said if you can shoot them in the head, more power to you. But
right.
I'll go for the body with a bow.
Right.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll just keep my shotgun. To be honest with you.
There you go.
Well, that would be good too. But if I'm going to be in a tree this October and I got my license and they come by, I'm whacking one.
Right.
Oh, I don't blame you a bit as far as that. Ours is going to be here where I live is going to be the second week of October. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be out trying to get me another fall. I haven't killed a fall one in probably about 5 years.
Well, if you do, you're going to have to check back in with us.
Definitely. Let us know how it goes. But we appreciate you taking about a half hour with us. We're going to try and dial up our other guests here and get them on board. But go over to Facebook, look up Tim Sias, Lim Walker Game Calls, get your order in, and that way you can get out in the fall or get you a gift for Christmas.
And check out his live on Friday nights when he does his show. He'll be live. He'll talk turkey hunting. He'll talk anything as well. You bring up the subject with him, and he'll talk.
Live on the limb.
There you go.
Tim, we appreciate you taking some time with us, buddy.
Not a problem. I always enjoy talking to you.
All right.
Thanks, Ben.
We're going to step outside. We're going to take our next break, and when we come back, hopefully we got Hunter's Blend Coffee on. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back, third segment of the podcast and the live stream tonight, and we've made a quick switch.
Right.
Mike was a little late, but we got him on, and Mike is with us. Mike Schwarzentrooper from Hunter's Blend Coffee. Mike, how's it going tonight, man?
Hey, doing okay. Hi, Mike and Danny. Great to get on here, so I appreciate your patience.
Oh, not a problem, man. Glad to have you.
All.
You know, it's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. We've got the Hunter's Blend rocking here in the house tonight, as
yes,
always.
Sir.
So, taking mine straight black. Danny still likes his with that creamer stuff in. I know you guys have done some special videos with the creamers.
It makes me feel special when he does it.
Well, it's good, clean fun, but we don't judge. So, to each his own.
Right. Well, we were down at ATA and we saw you guys down there. You guys had some new things coming out. We talked a little bit about it, but for those who are watching tonight, tell us where Hunter's Blend's at right now with what's going on with you guys.
Well, yeah, since we would have talked last on air, we've added two additional roasts, kind of due to customer request or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The one is we call Java Rum. It's a flavored coffee, and typically flavored coffee gets made with pretty cheap grade coffee. But we use the same grade that we use on all our other roasts, and so it's called Java Rum, and that has vanilla, rum, caramel flavors in it, and it's like a dessert in a cup, really. And then we also there's a certain segment of coffee drinkers, especially younger persuasion than myself, that like light roast. And so we have one we called Dawn's Early Light. My wife Melanie actually came up with that name. I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a light roast coffee. So we've added those two. We're also experimenting with some packaging that we've been wanting to come out with for a while, and we're actually sending some to Jimmy Sias for him to use on a backpacking trip to Alaska here in a week or so. But there'll be little mini like satchels with this resealable bag. Throw a couple of them in. Each one will do like 2 cups, 2 12-ounce brews. And you can take your equipment with you to the outback where all you need is hot water. So if you want to have a little pour-over unit, or they make these collapsible pour-over units that with almost no space required in weight, you can have premium coffee out back rather than something, instant coffee. So that's not on the website yet, but that's something that we're developing. And then we also partnered up with Jerry Everhart. He was a regular guest and really one of the hosts of another podcast a few years ago called the Hunt Fish Journal. Mm-hmm. And you can still look up their they haven't been making new episodes here for a year or so, but you can still look up their older episodes. And Jerry's he's the son of a scientist, for one thing, and secondly, he spent his career as in measurements, metrologist they call it.
Okay.
And so he's just real scientific, and he started hunting back in the 70s, and every day when he goes to the woods, he makes field notes of everything about the day, the time, the weather, what he saw, all his observations. And I mean, he's got books full of notes, and he still does this. Well, he's well into his 70s now, and there's obviously timing of the rut. There's different opinions about that, whether it's the moon or calendar or whatever. In his experience, what he did was, after I don't know how many years of taking notes, he started going back through and tabulating the days that he saw the biggest bucks in the field. And he tried correlating that to a moon guide. He tried correlating that to a day. That got closer, but it wasn't the same day. And he was finally able to tie it to the rate of change of sunlight. And so that always falls within a certain few days out of the year normally,
Sure.
but it slides forward and back each year.
Right.
And so with that formula, he started like on his key rut stand type locations, he started waiting to hunt those very best stands until his calculations told him to go out there. And he's in his 70s. He shoots a recurve with fingers, about as limited type hunting as you can do. It's a fair chase. It's maybe 60, 80 acres that he hunts on. He does have exclusive right to it, so he's able to stay out of it and keep the pressure off. He's real big on scent control as well. He has a whole protocol for scent control. But with his practicing what he preaches in, 12 out of the last 15 years, he's been able to harvest a Pope and caliber buck.
Wow.
Using his method and using his limited. I mean, you're that age and you're shooting fingers on a recurve. You have limits, and so that's something that we here have followed for the last number of years. And I've either seen or been able to harvest a nice buck on those days by using his system. So they used to sell that. He calls it the rut calculator on another website, and they ended up shutting that website down. I mean, they chose to let it expire, and so we said, hey, we use that for ourselves, but we hate for you to. I mean, this is valuable information,
right?
And so we're hosting that on our website now, kind of in conjunction with Jerry. I wanted to have a little bit more up by this fall as far as instruction goes, but you can go on our website, huntersblendcoffee.com, and it's just go to the rut calculator, and it's $30. And we do have some explanation of what's behind it and how it works on that page. So, if somebody has either just wants to experiment or is a believer in more of the sunlight concept versus a moon guide approach,
right?
This might be worthwhile checking out. But I was like the hair club for men or whatever. I was a customer before I,
right?
So anyways, that's something new. That was a little longer. I meant to talk about that, but
that's cool.
Those
well, it's a product you believe in.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, and you and I have talked about that before.
Okay.
Quite extensively, I think last year. I mean, off camera, obviously, but and I talked to one of the guys from that podcast. Actually, Danny and I met him at the grand opening of the Cabela's in Chesterfield.
Yes.
Okay.
And so yeah, we're familiar with those guys a little bit, and we've talked with them. But I know exactly what you're talking about. So
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's those are some things that we've done or working on and changes. So we do want to get that those smaller backpack packets available on the website. So we're still kind of developing those, but that should be coming.
Okay, and then you said the package that you put the coffee, that's a sealable, reusable packet?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't, I didn't think about it. Depends on your how you're going to brew it as far as how coarse of a grind that we put in there. So we'll probably have to determine, is this for a pour over or for a French press? I mean, most people, Jimmy Seitz is taking a French press with him. But most people on a backpack trip probably would just do a pour over, because you can get a collapsible silicone cone that you literally can squash flat. Right. And, pack in a couple of filters and got water. That's all you need is hot water, and pour it over and let it, set a minute, and then you're good to go. So, but those would be, a Ziploc bag, so they stay, so it stays tight. If we put it in the foil packets, they'll blow up like pillows, with the off gas, because it's fresh coffee when we package it. So it has to be something that packs, in a compact way and survives the trip. So,
there's something about coffee that goes in conjunction with either hunting or fishing, the outdoors, whatever. It's just, but for hunters and fishermen, there's just a strong connection with coffee. I mean, if you guys talked about that in anything at all? Has anybody really expressed any deep interest in that and talking as to why?
It's part of that's a good question, the why. I mean, if I just look at myself, it's part of the ritual of getting up early for a lot of people. Obviously not everybody, but for a lot of people, it's just kind of one of those things you do along with whatever else. And then it becomes part of the experience. So even, I was on I may have told you guys this, I don't remember. I was on a elk trip 4 or 5 years ago with a friend and his cousin, and none of us were probably quite ready for that experience, but it was an incredible horseback camping trip, and we did call in one bull, which was really cool. But that last morning, the guy that had brought the coffee was, and I don't know why I didn't bring it, but anyways, he was just bringing coffee for himself. So he was making this stretch through the week. And that last morning, that coffee was like tea, barely tea. I mean, it was so light, but you know what? I thought it was still really good. Right. You're up at 9,000 feet, out in Wyoming with what you see there. I mean, it was still good. So really, it kind of goes with the whole experience. I think it becomes part of just what you do. And then if it's good coffee, then that's just
even better.
The way you talk about it, and the way Mike just talked about it, just thinking in general, it's almost like the ritual part of getting up, talking amongst the group who you're with, maybe going over the day's events. And even it kind of falls in line to the end of the night if you had a bonfire. Sitting around the bonfire doing the same thing. But in the morning, you're not sitting around the bonfire. You're sitting around with coffee. So it's almost like a common denominator. And it brings you all together. And like you said, at 9,000 feet in Wyoming, you're what you had made it all that much better. And you were with friends, and it just and that makes it the world a lot better.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's very social. It is like having a beer around the campfire at the end of the day. It's like, why beer? It's just kind of part of the whole thing. And I think, coffee in the morning, sitting around the table or out on the porch or whatever. It just kind of in the chair outside the tent or wherever you're at. It all just goes with it.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that brings hunters, fishermen, outdoors people together. Whether you're backpacking, you're hunting, whatever you're doing, it's that first thing you do in the morning. It's that
Yeah.
It's that whether you're a coffee person, a hot chocolate person, it's something that you do together.
Well, and there's a couple comments on here. Diane says, in general, the outdoors and coffee just go together. Eric says, hard to beat cowboy coffee and a percolator. And and that's true. It's just those things that bind us together during those times. So
yeah. Yep, sure is.
I tell you what, we're bumping up on our last break here, so we'll take our last break. We come back, we'll continue the conversation. And I've still got about a half a cup of my coffee here, so maybe I'll finish it before the end of the show. We'll see.
All right.
All right, we step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show, we're talking with Mike Schwartzentruber of Hunter's Blend Coffee, one of our proud supporters here at Up North Journal, and we thank them for what they do for us here. Speaking of doing things for us, there was a little bit of work that was done behind the scenes, and I don't know if we can talk about this yet, so I'm going to leave that up to you, because you sprung a little secret to me about 2-3 weeks ago. Is that are we able to talk about that or no?
Are we? Does it involve grilling?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I would say I don't know anything official yet, but
or do we want to keep that under wraps until a later date?
No, I think it's okay to talk about it. There's no official release or anything like that, but we can talk about what's being worked on.
Okay. Well, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, you were kind enough to introduce us to the guys from Rebel 6 Rubs. And so we sent them some coffee to add to their steak rub recipes. They came up with 3 test recipes. Mm-hmm. And so they sent those to us. And, well, this is another story, but due to my success or lack thereof last fall, I had to go out and buy some ribeyes to grill because so
you're an honest man. I like that.
We'll leave it at that. But I'll tell you what, I am ruined. I had the steaks thawed out in the morning. I got them out of the fridge, rubbed them with olive oil, and then did a very generous dosing of the coffee rubs into the steaks. And 1 steak with each of the rubs, and then put them in the fridge for the day. And then I grilled them that night, and oh my goodness. I mean, it was like a completely different dish. It was so good. All the rubs were great, every single one of them. It was my wife and I and our daughter and her husband doing the testing. And so it's funny, my wife and daughter both preferred the one. My son-in-law and I both preferred another one, but they were still 1 and 2 for both of us. And they could take the third one that was our last pick, and it would be so good. So that was maybe one of the few people that hadn't used a coffee rub like that on a steak before, but I am sold. So we even put the stuff into our hamburgers last night before I grilled them, and those were really good too. But so I don't know. They're going to have to they sent out a bunch of samples. We hooked them up with a few other people to try out as well. So
okay.
They were going to kind of wait to hear back what people preferred as their go-to flavor, and they'd like to incorporate Hunter's Blend into their their coffee rubs for steaks. So
that's awesome.
I appreciate Mike you making that introduction for us, and I'm really excited to see what they end up, coming out with.
Well, I think they ought to call it the Up North Journal Coffee Rub, Hunter's Blend Coffee Rub.
Should.
The Rebel 6 Hunter's. Yeah, we got to get something in there. But no,
right.
It's just putting great people together, and sharing experiences and products and things, and that's what we love to do. And I was, we were here more than happy to help out with that. But I'm anxiously awaiting to try that, because when you contacted me about it, I was just like, okay, it's that good. We've got to try this.
Right?
It was like I just said, I'm ruined. I mean, this is not. I'm serious. I hope now the next time I eat it, it's as good as what I remember. It was so good that I hope I'm not now overblowing it to myself, because it was literally one of, if not best, steaks that I've ever had. So I'm sold.
I'm looking forward to it. And
all right, and we'll be looking forward to it, and when they come out with it, and
definitely got to try it. Maybe we'll have to try that live on the show.
Oh yeah, you think?
Yeah, right? So
yes.
Oh, that's
maybe
good.
We'll try it on some venison.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. The appropriate. That's right.
Well, if it works on any type of meat, it works good. So,
that's right.
I'm sure.
If we have to run to the store like you did, we'll do that too.
Yeah,
Well, that's
right.
But if we can get some back straps or something and put it in there, we'll do it as well.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward. I don't know if we're going to be able to be at ATA this year or not. It's hard to say if we're going to be able to. We don't know what's going to happen with everything that's going on. But
yep.
If that's the case, is there any new flavors we're looking at in the future? Are we sticking with the 4, or do you not want to give that information out just yet?
No, that's fine. We at this point we're not planning to add another roast. I'm not down the road. It would probably make sense, but at this point we have a dark, a medium, which is still our original roast is a medium, but it's still very bold.
Right.
And then the light roast, and then a flavored. So you can always add more, but that does cover the spectrum pretty well. We do have some espresso bars, which is chocolate bars with espresso beans in it. Those are really good. You get that coffee bite in there with the chocolate. Those are really good. And Paul's experimenting with importing cacao and making chocolate. So he's making these. He's got a whole process, and he's making his own chocolate now. So those will, that'll hopefully end up being incorporated into our own bars.
He's being his own little mad scientist over
right.
at his house.
He
right?
is. Oh yeah. He's always working on something.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing you guys don't try. I swear.
And that's good. Being open-minded is great for business because you don't get into a rut. You don't get put into a silo. You're like you said, you're talking coffees, you're talking chocolates, you're talking deer calculator.
Yeah, and steak rubs.
And steak rubs.
Oh, yeah, steak rubs. I'm sold.
Yeah. That's good stuff right there. Well, I guess we would ask you about your season, but you said you had to go buy meat to taste the rub with.
I had to go buy meat. I didn't get out early, and so about roughly second week in November when I was planning to hunt the rut. Now I hunt. Literally, we have 5 acres. About 2 acres of it has trees along a creek bottom that connects 2 pieces of woods. So, from a strategic standpoint, it's very good. It's in a bottleneck. We can have mineral or bait year round. So I have a salt block out there all the time, and I do one of the other key components of Jerry Everhart's rut method is to build mock scrapes. And in his experience, doing 1 or 2 didn't really affect deer behavior. But when he got to 5, 6, 7, 8 at each stand location, that seemed to dramatically change buck behavior and pull them in a lot more. So around each one of my primary stands, I would say for I'll have at least 6 or 7 the licking branches is really what you start. Make sure those are pulled down, hopefully in the spring. And I found if you put some buck preorbital gland on that branch in the spring, the does will be on it all summer long.
Okay.
And you don't. Go ahead.
Now, are we talking for bow or gun?
Bow.
Okay, so do you put them in a within bow range? All these.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the ideal thing would be to find, 2 parallel trails, or maybe if it's a crossing trail, you would back up into the widening part of the V until each trail to your right and left is maybe whatever your distance you want it to be, 20 yards or 25 yards each way. And then you go roughly, 15, 20 yards in front of you and cut a crossing trail between those 2 side trails. So you almost have if you a picture perfect one would be, it would look like a giant letter H laying on the ground, and you're in the very bottom. And so you would do your licking branches along the left trail up to the crossing trail, across and down, and hopefully at least 2 on each trail. So that would give you 6, but you could do 8, 9, 10, whatever. And you pull the branch down on the far side of the trail. The branch is pointing towards you so that the deer is approaching the branch. And if you pull the branch down on your side of the trail, the deer will be approaching you when they go to the branch. If they nuzzle that branch, they've looked right up at you. So you pull them down on the far side of the trail, and it's great. It's fun to watch the deer, but especially the bucks come through and use these licking branches that you started, and then start, when it gets closer to the rut, they'll start using the scrapes. And the nice thing about it is I could have shot a doe again first morning, and I should have, but I don't want to mess it up in case a buck comes along.
Right.
Yeah. So, she came in, checked the branch and the scrape or whatever, then meandered off. Then her fawn came in, did the same thing. So it's really cool to watch that happen. You get to see that happen. And the nice thing is they stop. You don't have to stop them with a whistle or something unnatural.
Right.
So they're stopping to check, and or to watch the buck rake the branches with his antlers. That's usually on video when I see that, but that's pretty cool. But I was, since I hunt on 5 acres here, and then across the road there's a woods. I've got a stand or 2 over there, but that's a small woods. That's primarily I hunt a 5-acre slice there out of maybe 25 acres of woods, but it's surrounded on 3 sides by cut row crops and houses on the roadside. So it's a little island. It's not conducive to holding big bucks by any stretch, but there's usually 6 or 8 resident does and fawns there. And so the bucks come to that woods during the rut. And so I have my scrape set up there. That's how I got my deer a year ago. 2 years ago now. He came in, it was the first day I hunted over there. It was the first day according to that rut calculator.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and he went to one branch, went to the next branch, and was nuzzling it when I shot him.
Okay.
And that was as textbook, that's how you want it to go.
Right.
But but last fall I held off on those does, and then, I kind of messed up an opportunity at a pretty nice buck. And then, that week was over. And so then I was hunting over a food plot, and because just beyond that stand out, I have a little patch out in an open field. I have a little corner there, about 60 by 100, where I have soybeans, and they love those things. And so it was weird. On my trail camera, the does were out there every night. I wasn't, and then vice versa. I didn't see anything when I was in, and I was in a ground blind for that. But anyway, it ended up not being a harvest season. But I did get to see that buck that I missed the opportunity at. He went back out to that field by that food plot I was telling you about, and there was a big boy out there. I hadn't seen him because I was watching the nice one in front of me.
Right.
And when he went back out to the field, there was a bruiser. And, they went to fighting and crashing and rolling around. They went into the woods, falling down the slope. It was epic. I had never had a chance to see that before. And I was just watching. I didn't even think of when it was over, grunting or squeezing, or I didn't even think of trying to pull one of them, to see what's going on. I was just watching.
You're just in awe of what happened.
Oh, it was.
You became a fan of nature.
I did. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, going back to the scrapes and everything, and there's controversy around whether people pee in their own use human urine in the scrape, whether it affects deer or not. But there's a question along that line. Andy Eberhard wants to know, he says, does your pee attract deer to the mock scrape after drinking Hunter's Blend coffee?
Actually, if you mix the two, it enhances.
There you go. So Andy, go over, get you some Hunter's Blend coffee.
That's right.
And then when you got to go to the scrape. There you go.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Well, once again, tell everybody where they can go to find your products and to go over to find that rut calculator as well.
Yeah, so the website where you can buy all the coffee, the rut calculator, our gear and stuff. We have probably our most popular one is this shirt I'm actually wearing. It's I like my coffee black and the tea in the harbor. And on the back, there's a quote from John Adams, who wrote a letter to his wife. This was after the Boston Tea Party. And after that, it was starting to be kind of considered unpatriotic to drink tea anymore.
Right.
And so in his letter, and this is the quote on the back of the shirt, tea must be universally renounced. I must be weaned, and the sooner the better. And so that's on the back, a quote from John Adams. So, but you can buy all that stuff at huntersblendcoffee.com. And then on all the social media platforms, it's just Hunter's Blend. And you know what? I want to put a little plug in for a new app. I know, Mike, you're on it. It's called Parler, Parler.
Yep.
There's another one on there with an OR. That's not it. Go to the one that's Parler. Basically, their tagline is something about is the free speech social network. And so, you know, it's getting tougher out there. Facebook and Instagram. I've had stuff taken down off my personal page. They're censoring even YouTube. So especially as hunters and patriotic Americans, it's good to have a place where you can share and speak your mind and not be afraid that somebody's going to silence you. So we have an account there now too on Parler. That's also called Hunter's Blend.
There you go. And I assume you've got them on Instagram as well, Twitter?
Yes.
I know you're on Twitter.
Yep. Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, they're all as Hunter's Blend.
Okay. We do have one question here before I let you go that just came in, and actually it's from Tim Sias from Limwalker Game Calls, who was just on the first half. He says he wanted to know, do you waterfowl hunt since you're there in Ohio? Do you do any waterfowl hunting?
I don't. I actually literally... I don't know when the last time I've hunted something besides whitetail. So I'm not a year-round, all-season, hunter. I guess I like hunting whitetails, and on our little property, I love being able to affect their behavior through food plots and things like that. And I mean, they're still, as our freezer will verify, they're still wild animals. So
right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not shot full of chemicals and wrapped in plastic, the typical way on styrofoam little backers. So.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, man, it's always a pleasure talking with you. And don't forget, go over to huntersblendcoffee.com. Use the UNJ promo code to save 10% on your order over there, folks. I'm telling you, it's the best coffee out there, and it's made for us hunters. So there you go.
You bet.
All right. If you'll hang on with us for just a minute, Mike, we're going to sign off, and we'll talk to you here just after the show. But for those of you who are on the podcast, go over to our social media sites. If you would, share the show, like the show, follow us. And if you're over on iTunes, make sure you give us a review over there. That helps us. Stop over at all of our supporters pages. Take a look around. They help us, so we want to help them by sending you over there. Go take a look. I'm sure you can find something over there that you'd like to have. So that'll do it for us this week. We'll be back again next week. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Bait,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limwalker Game Calls,
Sunrise Archery,
Total Heat,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.